Lily had always been a lover of old things. Antiques, dusty books, vintage photographs, anything that carried a story. So when she stumbled upon a box of old photographs at a yard sale, she couldn't resist. There were hundreds of them, some faded and yellowed with age, others crisp and clear as though they had just been taken. But one photograph caught her eye. It was of a small family, standing in front of a quaint cottage. The father, a tall man with a broad smile, stood proudly next to his wife, a woman with kind eyes. And there, in the middle, was a young girl with a playful grin, holding a stuffed rabbit in her arms. There was something about the photograph that sent a shiver down Lily's spine. The family looked so happy. But something didn't sit right. The more she stared at it, the more she noticed the details, the way the girl's eyes seemed just a little too wide, a little too blank, as if she was looking beyond the camera. Lily shook her head, dismissing it as nothing more than her overactive imagination. She paid for the box and left, unaware that the photograph would soon consume her thoughts. That night, Lily placed the photo on her desk. It was the first thing she saw when she woke up, the last thing she saw before bed. And every time she looked at it, she felt an unshakable sense of dread. She tried to research the family in the photograph but found nothing. There were no names, no clues, nothing. It was as if they had never existed. Then, one evening, as the sun began to set, something strange happened. The photograph seemed to change. Lily was sitting at her desk, working, when she looked up and gasped. The girl in the photo was different. Her grin had turned into a wide, unsettling smile. And her eyes, those eyes, were now fixed directly on Lily. Heart pounding, Lily reached for the photograph, her hands trembling. As she lifted it, she noticed something else. The girl's hand, which had once held the stuffed rabbit, was now empty. Lily felt a chill run down her spine. She tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just a trick of the light. But the longer she stared, the more the photo seemed to shift. It was as though the family in the picture was alive, shifting ever so slightly, moving just out of view. The next night, the photograph was different again. The girl's eyes were wider now, almost bulging, as if they were coming out of the frame. Her smile had twisted into something grotesque. And this time, she was not alone. The other figures in the photo, the father, the mother, were beginning to move as well, their faces morphing into expressions of pain, terror, as if they were trapped, begging for help. Lily's pulse quickened. She could no longer look away from the photo. She felt a compulsion, an overwhelming urge to pick it up. But as her fingers brushed against the frame, she heard a soft whisper from the image, a voice that wasn't hers. "Help us." Before she could react, the photograph seemed to lunge forward in her hands, the figure's eyes now glowing, their mouths open in silent screams. The room grew cold, the air heavy, and Lily could feel herself being pulled toward the picture, as if something on the other side was reaching for her. Panicking, she dropped the photograph, but the damage had been done. She could still hear their whispers, feel their eyes on her, and she knew deep down that she had made a terrible mistake. The next day, Lily tried to get rid of the photo, but every time she threw it away, it would appear back on her desk, as if nothing had happened. The family's eyes were watching her now, and they would never stop.